Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to Module A, Lecture 4. In this lecture, we shall discuss about three other components of traffic system, namely vehicles, roadways and traffic control devices. In lecture 3, we talked about road users. Road users are extremely important in the context of traffic engineering and one of the four major components. In fact, the human elements separate traffic engineering from most other engineering disciplines. Their behavior, their characteristics are extremely important. We discussed about various characteristics of road users, particularly say drivers and other road users, say pedestrians and so, and how these characteristics influence or why they are important in the context of traffic engineering. If you talk about the drivers, then the several characteristics of drivers, the visual acuity, both static and dynamic, field of vision, perception reaction time, all these characteristics are extremely useful and important for designing several traffic engineering facilities and elements. For example, road signs, design of road sign, designing the sight distance requirement or make the signs visible. Also various characteristics of pedestrians which are important for design of particularly pedestrian facilities, both by the side of the road, walkways and also the particularly the crossing facilities, design of the green time that is required for crossing of roads by pedestrian during the green time. So, now today we discuss about other components. First, to start with vehicles. So, vehicles are very important because a road system or traffic system, if you see, we have road users, we have vehicles. Now, in Indian scenario, there is wide variety of vehicles that are existing. Wide variety of sizes, wide variety of types of vehicle, bigger, smaller, different acceleration, deceleration capabilities, different power weight ratio. So, the traffic engineers must have to address this issue by adopting a standard vehicle characteristics for design and control purpose. You know that not all roads are used for all purposes. The accessibility, mobility functions will decide that which road is designed primarily for accessibility or primarily for mobility, what is the kind of functions. So, depending on the functional classification of the road, we need to consider something called design vehicles. That means, the characteristics of all those for the design vehicles will be used for design purpose, right. So, design vehicles may not be same for all kinds of road, because if you are talking about the residential streets, we do not expect probably very big commercial vehicles to use those roads on a day to day basis. But if you are talking about national highways or the major interurban roads, right, you expect this kind of bigger vehicles to use the road. So, the concept of design vehicles become very important. The characteristics of design vehicle primarily govern the design of the traffic system or the road system. When we talk about design vehicle, the vehicle characteristics are important and both physical characteristics and operating characteristics. Physical characteristics may include weight, dimensions, Operating characteristics may include braking characteristics, acceleration, deceleration characteristics. Braking also is there, already I have said. So, these are very important. Design vehicles are used to determine a variety of geometric features of highways, such as, if this is the width, right, height, dimension we are talking, right, and then we are also talking the acceleration, deceleration characteristics. So, design vehicles are used to design a variety of geometric features of highway, such as lane width, what would be the extra widening on curves, because it depends on the length of the vehicle, okay, width, length, everything. Then minimum corner radius, what should be the required clearance heights. All these are decided based on the design vehicle characteristics. So, once we say that this is the design vehicle and these are the corresponding characteristics, for the purpose of road design, those characteristics are used as input. That means, we will assume that if we can satisfy the requirement of design vehicles, then our purpose is, job is done. Next, the acceleration characteristics, very important. Heavier vehicles have lower rates of acceleration than the passenger cars, and there is difference in acceleration capability of different types of vehicle in a major, and this is a major cause of inefficiency in mixed traffic scene. The slow moving vehicle, small vehicle, big vehicle, power weight ratio, right, acceleration, deceleration, capabilities, they actually create, heterogeneous environment, speed environment. So, this difference in acceleration capability is a major cause of inefficiency in the mixed traffic stream. Next, coming to the braking characteristics, in highway safety and design, the most critical performance characteristics of vehicles is braking or deceleration. If the driver finds an object and it is necessary to stop the vehicle, then how the braking or deceleration is working, that is a major consideration in the context of road safety. So, the time and distance required to stop a vehicle is a primary consideration in almost every aspect of traffic system design and operation. So, this is very important, that what is the braking characteristics. So, we need to understand the acceleration characteristics, vehicle characteristics first, and then acceleration characteristics, also then braking or deceleration characteristics. Then the next part is design driver. As there are variations in the vehicle characteristics, similarly the driver characteristics also do vary, not all drivers are same. So, as we bring the concept like design vehicle, similarly the concept comes as design driver. That means, a driver may be not a real driver, not Mr. X or Mr. Y, right, but the characteristics of that design driver is chosen by the designer for all design purpose. Okay. So, that is what is the concept of design driver. The whole thing is, as we say, that vehicle, it is wide range, drivers wide range in variation, but when we design the road, we have to select or design it considering certain values, right, acceleration, deceleration, width, height, driver's perception reaction time. So, the concept of design vehicle, the concept of design drivers, they are all coming. A designer must choose those characteristics in the context of design driver, we are saying, in a way which make the design safe for most of the drivers. Obviously, if you want to take when you are selecting the characteristics, if you take the extreme one, right, that 100% drivers under 100% conditions, this condition will this will satisfy. Then your design requirement will be much higher, right. So, what is being done, that choose those characteristics in a way which make the design safe for most of the drivers, most of the drivers. Next, general characteristics of design driver. What we then take? These are some of the characteristics I have mentioned. I do not want to read out, say some perception reaction time, some comfortable deceleration rate, allowable jerk, visual acuity, the critical gap in a range. So, all these are assumed, right, to represent the design driver. Fine. So, the design is done considering this design driver and the requirements. Next, coming to functional classifications, we are going to the next components. So, that is the next one of the component of the traffic system is roadways. So, we discussed about road users, we discussed about vehicles, concept of design vehicle, design driver, the characteristics of design vehicle, the characteristics of design drivers. Why we say we bring down the want to reduce the variation and consider a single set of values for the design purpose, which will satisfy the requirements of most of the vehicles and most of the drivers. So, most of the vehicles means we take the characteristics of design vehicle, most of the drivers means we take the characteristics of design driver. Now, we come to the roadways, that is the next component. So, you have in a traffic system you have road users, you have vehicles, you also have the road system. So, functional classification of road system is very important in this context, because highway road facilities are classified by the relative amounts of through movement and land access service they provide. Because any road it has got primarily two functions. One is providing accessibility, giving the connectivity. A road is passing through an area and it provides connectivity to the village, right. If somebody wants to go to the village, can travel through that road and get connected. So, giving connections is one function. We can call it generally as accessibility function. The other is for development of highways, one major emphasis is on enhancing the mobility. We want faster movement of goods and services, right. So, that is why so much investment is done to build the roads and develop the infrastructure, because you can place the order in no time using internet, using mobile and all sorts of advanced communications and platforms. But the physical delivery of good is also very important. So, especially highways which are primarily to cater the long distance traffic, the primary focus is or primary function is the mobility, not providing the connections. So, there of course, it always any road connects places, but providing connectivity to adjacent land is not the primary purpose. The primary purpose is to ensure that the through traffic moves in an uninterrupted manner as far as possible. So, based on that the whole functional classification stands, and vehicle operations are greatly influenced by the geometric features of the roadway. For example, the cross section elements, what should be the lane width, what should be the shoulder width and what should be the median width and so on. Then the horizontal alignment, the curves, the transition part, the extra widening part, horizontal alignment, super elevation. Then the vertical alignment, design of summit curve, vertical curve, design the length of the what is the acceptable grade, what is the critical length of grade, how you provide other facilities like improve even the passing opportunities, climbing lane and such kind of emergency escape ramps. So many things are there, right. So, all this together. So, cross section elements, horizontal alignment, vertical alignment, all these are decided. Urban roads and rural roads both are classified under certain categories based on how much you expect them to serve accessibility function and how much you want them to serve mobility function. Remember that we cannot get both 100%, like it may be you can generally consider its total is 100%. So, now it is up to you how this 100% you can distribute between the accessibility function and the mobility function. So, that way the classification is done. If you come to the urban roads as per Indian Roads Congress guideline, the highest standard of urban road is called expressway, which is completely access controlled. Okay. The second mobility function is still higher. So, expressway it is all access controlled. So, the primary function is 100% focus is on mobility, not the accessibility. This road is not to provide access to adjacent land, right. Its purpose is the through traffic movement and mobility 100%. Arterial roads again primary focus is the mobility, not providing access to adjacent land, right. Then slightly lower subarterial, then collector street, then goes to the local street. Local street is the road when you come out of your home in the residential locality, the road you use is the local road. What is the purpose of that? Very fast movement of traffic? No. That purpose is basically to give you connections, so that you can from your home you can come out and then you can go get connected to the collector street. Through collector street you can again access to subarterial or arterial, like that. So, the primary function of the local street is accessibility, not the mobility. We expect pedestrians to use such road, more number of pedestrians, maybe sometimes children may play also in the residential areas. So, the mobility is not the important thing, speed is not the primary consideration, and we do not want actually higher speed there. So, the primary function for local road is the accessibility. Primary function of expressway, arterial roads entirely on mobility, and as you come down from expressway to arterial to subarterial to collector street to local street, the mobility function is reduced, accessibility function is increased. So, please understand that this is very, very fundamental. We develop the road, not all roads are for mobility purpose, we do not want that. A good road does not mean we need always a high speed. The function of the road is very important, and here the intended function and the actual function both are important, because maybe the intended function is something, but the actual function is different. So, we should actually care for how the actual function in reality what the road is serving, whether there is any conflict. Similarly, I have just described it. As I said, expressway 100% is focus is on mobility, no accessibility to abutting land is permitted. You cannot simply come out of your home, even if your house is in the nearby area, you cannot simply come out of your house and directly enter into expressway, it is not possible. Arterials primarily designed again for through traffic movement, subarterial little bit less mobility function, accessibility function slightly getting into it. Next, collector street, it is an intermediate facility between arterials and local roads. It is actually connecting collector, it is getting all the local streets, getting connected to it, then it is further getting connected to higher order road, which is the arterial or subarterial. Local streets primarily designed to access the abutting lands with minor mobility function. Mobility function is not the primary function, and we do not want high mobility, because we actually it is intended for high accessibility. So, if the out of 100, if majority is accessibility, the mobility cannot be more. As I said, remember accessibility plus mobility together may be 100%. So, if we are increasing one, or if we want more in one component, we have to compromise on the other part. If we try to achieve both, then the conflict will happen, the road safety issues will come up more and more. You develop a highway, widen the road, connect every village to the highway. Trying to achieve both, you will only create conflict and you will find lot of accidents are happening. Similarly, the rural roads also as classified based on accessibility mobility. The highest order in Indian condition is called national highways, then state highways. National, state highways both are primarily for the mobility purpose. National highway is actually developed and maintained by Government of India, whereas the state governments are actually maintaining the state highways, but both are primarily for the mobility purpose. Then you have major district road, other district roads which are somewhere in between, some mobility, some accessibility, and then you come to the village road. The whole purpose is the connectivity, the access, right. So, here we again do not expect vehicle to travel at a very high speed. They are not high speed facilities, their primary function is the mobility. So, we need good roads. You can see all over India, wherever you go, you will see this PMGSY logo, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. It is all over India, wherever you go, you will see the rural roads are getting developed. So, primary purpose is the connectivity, access or connectivity. So, now if you go to the traffic control devices, this is the fourth component, but all are equally important. So, in the traffic systems, we have road users, we have vehicles, we have roads or infrastructure, then the traffic control devices. Because traffic control devices actually is establishing that control, how the road users, vehicles, roads, they will interact. Now, we come to the next component of the traffic system, that is traffic control devices. So, we discussed about road users, then the vehicles, then the roadways, and how they are interacting with each other, that is through the traffic control devices. So, traffic control devices is the next or the fourth components of the traffic system. So, whole traffic system is divided into four major components, and traffic control system is the one of those. So, traffic control devices establish communication of traffic laws and regulations to driver by means of control devices. Four major types of control devices we use: one, road markings; second, traffic sign; third, road delineators; fourth, traffic signals. All are extremely important, and all are important to communicate the traffic laws and regulations to drivers. What way you want them to interact? You might be you might have decided that this should, here the speed limit should be this, here this road should be one way, here the vehicle should stop and allow other vehicles to move on a priority. How you communicate? The communication to drivers and road users is extremely important. That part is taken care by the control devices, and road marking, road sign, road delineator, traffic signals, all of them individually and collectively take that very important role. Communication to drivers and road users, that is very important. So, control devices are only measures of transmitting operational rules, as I said, one way, speed limit, no right turn, compulsory left. Okay. So, transmitting operational rules to drivers. Therefore, we expect them to be very clear, easily interpreted, and commanding in action. You have a traffic light, but along with that there are so many lights of that kind, maybe because of the advertisement. Then there is the traffic signal cannot really command, but it should command, right. So, it should be clear, easily interpreted and commanding in attention. Regulatory aspects of traffic control must be enforced. So, you should communicate to them, but then who will enforce it? It is the police department. Enforcement is the job of the police. So, the police department, traffic police department should ensure that this regulatory aspect, what is must, some may be information, that also we need, right. But there is something like, as I say, that you must stop or you must take right turn. It is a one way street, the movement from the other direction is not permitted. This must be enforced, because these are regulatory aspects. This relate to efficiency and safety of the overall traffic streams and road users. So, this must be enforced by the police. Coming to road marking, the code which is followed by all of us in Indian scenario is that IRC, Indian Roads Congress Guideline IRC 35 2015, or maybe over a period of time new versions will come, but this particular code IRC 35, whatever is the latest edition, that must be followed for anything related to road marking. It is a code which is very exhaustive, and I cannot really cover each and every aspect of this detailed guidelines, but a few important things I want to mention. Then it is up to you, you can always refer to this code and get more details, right, even the specific dimension, what specification and many other detailed things. So, what is basically road markings? Made of lines, words, symbols and reflectors, and are intended to regulate, to control, to warn or guide road users. So, anything lines, words, symbols which are there and which are intended to regulate, control, warn and guide road users. Now, these are provided to ensure smooth and orderly flow of traffic, also for safety purposes. They signify the delineation of traffic path and its lateral clearance. How much, when I am travelling in a lane, means how much, what are my boundaries. So, lane marking actually indicates that, right, and lateral clearance from traffic hazards for safe movement of traffic. Marking can be classified in so many ways. There are so many classifications for longitudinal marking, transverse marking, hazard marking, block marking, arrow marking, direction marking or directional marking, then facility marking. So many different types of markings are there. Again, you may refer to that Indian Roads Congress guideline to know more, but these are all different types of markings which are used. Multiple colors are permitted. Traditionally, earlier only yellow, black and white. These were the three colors. These are the three colors which were used, but now many other colors are also permitted or introduced in this code. First, traditionally also white was used. Widely used because of the good visibility and good contrast. Most of the roads in our case are bituminous road, black. So, against black the white is very visibility is very good. Then the yellow, normally used in longitudinal marking, where it is not permitted to cross the marking and also in parking restriction area. Yellow is restrictive, parking is not allowed. So, color becomes yellow. You cannot cross the line, center line, that becomes yellow, restrictive in nature. Third, blue, used to indicate dedicated bus lane and other special markings which is not conventional. Indian cities are now developing dedicated bus lane, BRTS corridor. So, how you indicate that? So, the blue is introduced for that purpose. Next, green, it indicates the priority to cyclist and pedestrian to cross the road near intersection. So, the green relates to vulnerable road user, particularly pedestrians and cyclists, for their movement, to indicate that there is a priority for movement of pedestrians and cyclists to cross the road near intersection. So, that there the color indicates something. Next, red or purple color used in hazardous locations where different road users sharing the road, multiple road users are sharing it. So, indicating that it is a hazardous location, one has to be careful, right. So, used in hazardous locations where different road users sharing the road. Now, road markings are done for different scenarios, primarily I should say for 3 scenarios. Normal scenarios, let us say where adequate side distance is available. You are travelling, the road is straight, there is no issue of side distance or visibility, clearly the road is visible, no restriction, no issue. They are the normal scenario. How then you do the center line marking? The next is warning scenario. What is warning scenario? The code again provides very detailed tables and values, everything, all these are given. I will only try to say very briefly that where the visibility is more than the minimum visibility distance MVD, but less than the warning sign distance. What is the minimum visibility distance? Distance at which an object of 1.05 meter above the carriageway is seen by an observer. So, 2 persons at certain distance, depending on the speed they are standing, and they are able to see each other. That is the in essence, that is the way the MVD is established actually. What should be the MVD value? Depends on the speed. So, the people take 85th percentile operating speed and there are tables. So, in the guideline it tells you what is the MVD, what is the also corresponding the warning side distance corresponding to that speed. So, you can determine 85th percentile speed and then go to the table given in the guidelines, and accordingly it will tell you what is the MVD, what is the warning side distance. So, it is a case where visibility is more than the MVD, but less than the WSD, warning side distance. Essentially, let me tell you, where you have no overtaking scenario, sharp curves, where the visibility minimum visibility distance is not available, right. Vehicles coming from opposite directions cannot see each other, right. Safe maintaining safe visibility or safe distance, that is not available. So, there you will give no overtaking scenario, you will give solid line probably indicating that you cannot cross the road, and this is before you give the no overtaking scenario. Before that the warning scenario is given, just to warn you that you are approaching actually a no overtaking scenario, not the normal to suddenly you come no overtaking. So, this is something in between to give a kind of warning to the drivers, then you are now approaching no overtaking scenario. So, just one small example of how the center line marking is there. You can say normal condition, warning condition, both cases the lines are break, but the length and spacing is different. You can see as you are going from normal to warning situation, the length is becoming longer, but still it is not a continuous, there is a break, right. So, both normal and warning there is a break, but the length and the spacing is different. And normally as I said 7 warning line segments are used before no overtaking. So, there is normal, then you have no overtaking, in between 7 warning line segments, minimum 7 warning line segments to be given. So, how you indicate, how you communicate it to the driver, it is just by the length, the way the marking is done, right. And when you come to no overtaking, obviously it is solid line, continuous solid line indicating you cannot cross that line. It may be even yellow, sometimes double line you use, it indicates different levels of restrictions. These are the examples of how the single stop line, double stop line you give, where vehicles are compulsory, you must stop and then look for the opportunity, suitable gap, and then do the maneuver. Similarly, giveaway sign. Giveaway says that if you are approaching from this minor road and that is basically the main road, then priority is for the main road. So, you need not stop all the time, but if required you have to stop, otherwise you can slow down, and then if suitable gap is available you do the maneuver. But first case, if there is a stop line, you have to stop, you cannot only slow down, you have to stop. Both, even giveaway also you may have to stop if there is no suitable gap, but you are still allowed to pass without stopping. You can slow down, and if there is an opportunity you can pass, you can do the maneuver. So, stop is more restrictive, more stringent, right. So, in summary, I would say the traffic engineers must adopt the standard characteristics of vehicle for design and control purpose. Design vehicle concept, design driver concept, they are very important, because those are the characteristics which we are using for design, and understand the roads primaries have mobility and accessibility. So, that is very, very important, and the road marking, traffic sign, road delimiter, and traffic signals are the 4 major types of traffic control devices, and we discussed today specifically about the road markings. So, in the next lecture we shall talk in details about the road delineators, traffic signs, and traffic signals. Thank you so much.